Doma Sports Talk Worldwide with some news from the world of boxing. So y'all know what time it is. You ain't in a rush to get concussed. Now, unfortunately, it's a little Canelo news, right? Little Canelo news. Canelo Alvarez, hey man, I don't really have to say who it is. It's the face of boxing for most people, right? Number one, two, or three, pound for pound. One of boxing's best. That he is, right? So there's a little news. First, bam, right? What I've been saying the whole time, months, at least half a year. Canelo ain't fighting nobody hard without a crowd. Okay? There's gonna have to be a crowd because Canelo and Anthony Joshua probably ain't gonna fight Pulev. I know people can't follow me, but these guys have had crowds their whole career backing them, and I'm talking about just not a normal crowd backing them. I'm talking about every jab, every time they evaded a punch, right? Anything, any body shot, all the little things have been cheered, right? So even when you have a flurry and you don't land, you throw some punches, you get cheered. That's what they're used to. I don't see them fighting in the pandemic with somebody that's going to be hard. They can somebody where they're going to, beat them convincingly. That can happen. But somebody hard, I don't see that. That's why Canelo was hell bent on fighting Admiral Yildirim. Right now, he ain't gonna fight nobody. Probably the whole year. That's what his team is saying. Probably the whole year. He ain't fighting on his Mexican holiday, and he ain't gonna fight the rest of the year. Not somebody hard, and the zone is going telling him you better fight somebody hard. That's why he's trying to shop around Admiral Yildirim with someone else. Right? That's what's gonna happen. Unfortunately, we got people that's used to certain things. They ain't fighting no pandemic against somebody hard. But just so you know, it ain't Canelo. Like I said, I don't think Joshua was going to fight Pulev. Not without no crowd. Just remember I said it so I can put this on again. Anything. But back to Canelo. Canelo, basically, you know, lately we know that he's not fighting anybody hard. He's trying to beat around the bush. I've done it. It's documented. We talked about the fighters that we know that he's not going to fight. I'm just going to say the name anyway because I'm doing a video. Andrade and Charlo. He ain't ever fighting them. Right? So, and that's what makes all this chaos go on. But, one of his former opponents, Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., was coming in, and they were talking about his fight. He was saying, he didn't like the fact that he had to fight at 164 pounds instead of 168. And, I'm going to just read a little bit, maybe a paragraph or a couple of paragraphs, and then we're going to leave it at that. What Julio Cesar Chavez says about him. He said he was Chavez Jr. Was furious when Canelo fought at the full super middleweight limit at 168 the following year in a KO win over Rocky Fielding, right? Last year, Canelo went as high as the light heavyweight limit of 175 to knock out Sergey Kovalev for the WBO title. Now, here's a quote. Canelo is a great fighter, but these days he is extremely overrated for me and for many. In the last 10 fights, he has had an advantage with weight. In the two fights with Golovkin, he went to a draw and lost, although he beat Golovkin, but that's his point by majority decision. But that was his point. The fight he had with Cotto could have been a draw, and they cheated me with the weight by by weighing me at 9 o'clock and then not being able to eat until 1 in the afternoon, something that's never been done in boxing history. That's what Chavez Jr. says. And he goes to say, at the end of the day, towards the end of the article, he was saying, today the best boxers in the world are Vasily Lomachenko, Terrence Crawford, and Errol Spence. All of them are easily above Canelo. Now, you've heard things like that from people like me or people, that just talking boxing and you kind of think that we would have something against Canelo, which we don't. We just kind of want to see the best fighters. And probably most people are not just boxing fans, because just people that just watch boxing are used to the shenanigans. But if you watch other sports and we got the NBA playoffs, we're gonna find out at the end of these NBA playoffs, even with a pandemic, who the best team is. Right? Football start, we're gonna have a Super Bowl. We're gonna have whatever. You know, U.S. Open going on, right? Serena trying to get her, 24th Grand Slam, I think it is, right? Right, Federer and them and there, and then Federer, Djokovic then got kicked out of the tournament, stuff like that. But we're gonna find at the end of the tournament who the champion is at the U.S. Open. You know what I mean? So in boxing, you don't have that. There's always some kind of shenanigans. So you would think, You know, people are weird when they want to find out who the best is, and they don't just say positive things about Canelo because he's in the way of finding out who's undisputed or who's the best, right? And people are helping him get away with it. But Julio Cesar Chavez probably ain't got nothing against Canelo. First of all, he's Mexican, guys, right? Now he was an opponent, but you see, he got cheated with the weight. We know that he was weight drained. He was a zombie. Everyone knew that, right? That made the fight boring. But he also says that there are fighters above him, right? Now, there's a whole lot more of them. If you put those 3 or 4 he has, plus the about 5 or 6, 7 I have, Canelo's top 20 pound for pound guy, but you can't put him too much higher than that because of the things he won't do and the fights that he did. When you start talking about Canelo wins, right? Anybody, Canelo, who he fought some good fighters. His best win has to be Jacobs. And I would say that way because Lara, he didn't really win that one. Austin Trout was open scoring. Great win, but open scoring. I don't know if he really beat Austin Trout if that wasn't open scoring, right? And so those are really the best wins. Cotto, was up towards the end. I would say Daniel Jacobs is the best win, if you ask me. And that was a very close fight. We don't get to say that, but that's a very close fight. So this is the kind of article that I'm trying to say is he's saying a lot of people, himself included, think Canelo Alvarez is overrated. And unfortunately, you hate to do that, but it is what it is. Unfortunately, he is. He really is overrated because he's rated way too high. These videos that I'm doing and others do about Canelo would not even happen if he was just rated like, you know, pound for pound 13 or 14 or something like that. Everybody would be good. You're damn right, Canelo. Canelo bad. Everybody would be totally different. But when you rank him at number one, and I'll repeat myself, then he will be judged as such. That's all this really is. You know, listen to Julio Cesar Chavez. I put the article in the description box. Doma Sports Talk Worldwide. And I'm about to hear y'all.